final touches that you can add onto your models post-painting make a big impact on how your models actually look, and I think are sometimes overlooked.
I remember specifically the first time I ever varnished one of my models, and I remember thinking like, oh my God, I've cracked it.
The transformation is wild.
The magic sauce.
Contrast of finish is so important as much as contrast of color.
I always use the kind of like an analogy that it's a bit like a save point in a classic video game.
It's this glue that just brings everything together with this uniform finish.
My model just literally turned into a grey piece of mess.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Paint Perspective, episode 117. In this episode, we're going to be talking about ways to improve your miniature painting that aren't necessarily to do with your paints. All that and more later on in the show. Joe, why are you laughing?
Just your little. I like how you throw in a little bit of zhuzh on it. Yeah, actually, one of the things that me and my girlfriend watched for a TV show recently, and one of the jokes on there was like when someone's saying cheer to like zhuzh it up or something, they were like throwing a bit of joie de zhuzh on it, which obviously doesn't make any sense.
That sounds like a cologne or perfume.
Yeah, so we keep saying that now, and I liked how you put a bit of joie de zhuzh on the intro. You made a little bit like that.
I'm getting a lot of shade for the intros lately from you.
That's not shade.
Do you know what? I think
that's not shade.
I think Joe should start doing them now.
No,
that was a one and done from Joe. I think.
Yeah, absolutely not. If anyone, like, the only way you'd get me to do them if you can train like an AI. AI me.
Is it like those? Have you seen the Joe Rogan like AI episodes? Do you reckon they could do that for us now?
Deep
No, I feel like you probably couldn't tell the difference between an AI one and a normal one. Same amount of waffle, right, same amount of sense not being made.
That helps us get away with it.
Yeah. But no, I like it. I like that it was a compliment. I wasn't throwing shade.
All right.
I like the. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next week. Now, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens
pressure,
on the
George.
episodes.
Has that
coming
inspired
up.
you to hit the subscribe button below the video so you can find out what the intro is on the next episode?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? I don't know if I am subscribed. Shall I check?
Hang on a sec. You had a go at Paul for not following you on Instagram, and you're not even subscribed to the channel.
It's just a bit weird because I don't.
No, come on. It's a
bit weird because I don't want.
What's going on?
Look, I'm a.
Bet you he's not.
I'm a TV YouTube person, so I watch YouTube on the telly.
Yeah.
And I don't really want like to be just turning the telly on and like scrolling through and then there's like my face. Do you know what I mean? Let me check if
it's like a digital picture frame though, isn't it? Basically. Go on, that's it. Yep, done.
He's done it.
Yeah,
he's done it.
There you go.
There we go.
Exciting. Big moves.
Absolutely.
It only took you 117 episodes.
Yeah, what is going on? All this time.
That amount of quality content is what it takes to get me to subscribe to something. So I wonder is there a way you can like hide it? So I can be subscribed, but I don't have to look at myself. I don't want to look at myself. I don't want to turn on the telly and I'm there. That's weird.
Just treat it like a digital picture frame. Literally. Big digital picture frame.
You keep saying that and it makes less sense every time. I don't know what that means.
Picture yourself in a picture frame.
Do you remember them? They were all the rage in like the early 2000s. Do you remember like the digital picture frame?
You could plug a little USB
in.
Yeah.
Good times.
Very good.
Anyway, hobby stuff. Have you anyone got any hobby updates? I've been doing a little bit of vehicular hobbying.
What was your vehicular hobbying?
You're having a second go, aren't you?
Yeah, so I spoke about it on the...
That shade. He's getting a little
go?
reminder that he messed the first one up.
Yeah. He's the one who put it in the bin.
Second take.
I didn't put it in the bin.
I thought you did.
No.
You said it was ruined.
Do a quick recap, because we are getting like new people on these episodes.
Yeah.
And we do keep getting comments being like, I have no idea what they're talking about because they reference something from like however many weeks ago.
That surely means you should go back and watch previous episodes.
Obviously, that's what they should do. But just to help the ones that haven't yet, what's the very brief overview of the saga of the vehicular hobby?
Do you want me to tell it and get it completely wrong?
No, that just confused me.
So the story is, let's go back to, I think it was Christmas 2024.
That's 30 years ago.
Christmas 2002.
Yeah.
My girlfriend bought me a Tamiya model kit of my personal car.
Yeah.
Mazda MX-5. And it's like
we're going back
model
that
kit
far,
of
okay.
it. Yeah. And I built and painted the car. I had a great time. I made it as like a little replica of my car. I thought that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to do it like well, but I'm not like an expert in scale modeling by any means. So I tried to do like the best I could with kind of the stuff I had about. And then I learned a lot along the way. It was good fun, kind of wrapped it up. And then I had a little bit of an itch to like do another one a bit better. And the main issue that I had with that one is, funny enough, what the topic is going to be of this episode is like finish. It didn't really look like real. Like it didn't have that, it didn't look like metal. It looked like a piece of plastic that I'd painted, you know? So I wanted to have another go of it. And a crime of opportunity occurred when I went to not the normal hobby shop I would go to. I went to pick some paints up, and they have a lot of scale model kits in there. And I'm a fan of a lot of Japanese sports cars of the 90s era.
Yeah, look, you're talking to a driver of a Nissan Micra, mate. So I know I know Japanese sports cars. If anyone does, I do.
Well, they had a R33 Skyline kit in there, which was like gleaming at me off the shelf.
Yeah,
You know about that one, Joe, don't you?
yeah. That's
You
the
acknowledge it.
R33, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my. I was going to say, don't get the 34, get the 33, because a lot of people get the 34 because it's newer, but the 33 is the one.
I can't wait for
I
everyone.
love that you're saying that as a joke, but that is actually true.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear it.
So anyway, I bought that kit and I tried to have a go at painting it, like kind of learning what I'd learned. And it was just a total disaster for various reasons. One, I got stung by some products that I'd used. I won't get into it because I'll be here forever. But basically, I completely messed it up so badly that I'd like sanded it, all the paint off, and then repainted it 2 or 3 times to the point where there was just like no model left. It was just like a blob.
The amount of times you told that story on and off air, and James was like, well, you can just strip it and do it again. And you're like, no, you don't understand. Like, there's no mod. I've gone through the model. There's no
plastic
There's
left.
nothing to strip. It's gone.
You're not a true car aficionado if you don't get out the milliput and start resculpting the
No, because
bodywork. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
The
See?
problem was the panel gaps.
See?
Like I'd sanded,
No,
so there was no
all
longer any panel
all I'm
lines.
hearing, all
Yeah.
I'm hearing is excuses. So,
Yeah.
so like,
That's me cleaning a basic intercessor. Just like all the panel lines
what, just a
gone
pair of shins,
instantly.
pair of shins on the base.
Instantly, yeah.
So anyway, I messed that up and I kind of knew what I'd got wrong. And then I had another go with the WRX STI, which I painted successfully. I
Looked
spoke
great.
about it on the Patreon post show
Looked
last
great.
week.
Absolutely smashed
I'll
it.
put some photos on screen for any of you who haven't seen it on my socials or anything.
It reminded me of Mr. Watson's car that I spoke about, the PE teacher. It looked so spot on. I was like, is that
His car.
him, or is that like is he in there or what? It was perfect, very realistic.
Thank you.
Unlocked a core memory for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So anyway, post the success of that, I wanted to go back to the Skyline and
Win
you
a
know,
battle that he
yeah.
lost.
Got
exactly.
cocky.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the
Cocky now.
rematch.
Yeah,
I'm ready for the
it's
rematch.
round two.
Is it the exact same one you
I
bought?
literally bought the exact same kit again.
Did you buy it from the same person?
No, I got it online. But I now
Could you
have,
not face going in there and buying the exact same one again and then
No.
going, why are you doing that?
I was actually confident that they'd have another one, to be fair. Because you go
Okay.
into these shops, they normally have like one of a whole bunch of different stuff. It's rare that they've got like
Yeah.
multiple.
They're not like Warhammer kits that like go out of stock in like really quickly. Like you'll have like one on the shelf, like Airfix kits. You'll have them on the shelf for like decades, and it's like
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, so I ordered the exact same one again, which luckily means because with the first one, I'd only painted the body first. I've got like spare bits now. So I've got a bit of an insurance
Doing
policy.
mods.
Yeah, he's gonna put a different set of alloys on it. He'll have 2 sets of alloys.
Well, funny you should say that.
Oh, I told you. See what I
Tamiya
mean?
actually do upgrade kits for a lot of these cars, which is cool. Because like the Skyline had like the Nismo version, which is like the extra sporty version.
Yeah, I'm aware.
And there's like different wheels and stuff. And they do a kit to modify.
Into that one.
Yeah. Which is very cool.
That is cool.
Does it come? It doesn't come with a new top body shell though, does it? That you sanded through.
No.
No.
So, but
Just do it as a convertible. Do the old one as a
What,
convertible.
have no body. If it's the roof, you could just cut
Yeah,
the roof.
did you
off,
do the
couldn't you?
roof or is it just the roof that's gone? Because you could just do
no,
it.
the whole lot. It's mullered.
Or just use it as like you could do a diorama.
See what you could
like-
do. Do a diorama. Do one that's been burnt out. You can do the purple one that's been nicked and then it's been burnt
Yeah,
out.
it's like a time.
There you go.
Well, you mentioned the purple thing. So, for those of you who don't know, on the first one, I tried to do the colours called Midnight Purple, which is a
great.
very iconic thing for that car.
If you
and
play
it's this
Gran
like
Turismo.
colour shift,
Yeah.
pearlescent,
Yeah.
like you look at it in different lights, different colours sort of thing.
Yeah.
Getting that in miniature form was like a real struggle. So I bailed on that and tried to do a blue one, which I messed up. And then I tried to do a black one and then I messed that up. So anyway, I'm going back to the purple.
The blue wasn't blue either, was it?
Don't get me started. Don't get
Well,
me
what
started.
blue was it?
Well, I bought a blue and it showed up and it was green.
Yeah, that's it.
So it wasn't blue.
So it wasn't blue.
So it wasn't
and I
blue.
didn't know that until I'd already projected it onto the model.
I didn't realise that you'd done a purple one, a blue which was supposed to be, or green which was supposed to be blue, and then you'd done a black one. That's understandable. You've had nothing left of the body shield,
No,
did you?
yeah, no.
That's fine.
So anyway, I'm ready for round 2, and I've got to do it right. Like, go big or go home. So I've ordered like the color flip purple, which hopefully
it's a great color.
will work.
Anyone who remembers early PlayStation 1 Gran Turismo will remember that color because it was on there, if memory serves correct.
What game was the Subaru was on the front cover of a game? I remember.
That would have been
WRX.
on Colin McRae's WRX.
Colin
game,
McRae.
yeah.
That's the one I remember.
Yeah, great game.
That and then I was all street racing games after that. Never did Gran Turismo. I thought that was too like by the book. So I went straight to street racing games.
Yeah. Well, anyway, in summary, I'm looking forward to getting that on the go.
I can't wait for you to do it because I think it's such an amazing car and color as well.
It's also just like these scale models are so fun.
Yeah.
I'm having so much fun doing these. I obviously love painting Warhammer, but like I paint Warhammer a lot, so it's nice to take a break. And it feels like it's this weird mix of like familiar but different.
It's something different, yeah.
Yeah, and I spoke about in a previous episode. I just like learning like new stuff. So going into it and like being fairly fresh is like enjoyable because everything's kind of new. But all the experiences are new. You know.
I mentioned it on another episode, but in my twilight years, I will be undertaking another hobby. I think I'm going to be getting into.
Oh yeah, you did talk about this.
Get into radio model aircraft. That's what I'm going to get into. Definitely.
Well, have you done your Iron Maiden?
I've not done
Spitfire.
No,
yet?
Dale, one of the chaps who came on the class, one of our patrons, he lovingly bought me a Spitfire, which I've got, and I just haven't had even time to tackle it yet. But
You're a little bit like.
I feel like
a bit
George.
nervous to
I
touch
feel like
that.
George with it. I'm a little bit nervous because it's like my favourite airplane.
It's been gifted to you.
That's
me. That's like a
the
weight,
pressure,
isn't it?
yeah, the pressure. Like it's my favourite aircraft. It's been gifted to me. Yeah, so it's and it's a big scale as well. It's quite a big kit as well. So like it's a bit of a multiplier. But I'll just do a George and I'll just sand it into oblivion by the
Yeah. Well, do it, mess it up again, and then buy another kit for yourself.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
You'll be there.
100%. Yeah. No, I've been watching loads of videos on radio controlled airplanes. So yeah, there's a bit of an interest.
I live like next to a park, and we've got people that have just gotten into all that. And it's
they fly radio air control. I'm not talking about drones. I'm talking like
not like that.
Model aircraft.
They've got it's cars, but it's like not just like random like remote control car. It's like whatever the next step of
Like the ones with the petrol engines in them.
yeah, like whatever the next step of that hobby is.
It's pretty serious though because you got to join.
And they are ragging it around the park behind our
you got
flat.
to join like a flying club and everything. It's not like you can't just.
They haven't flown anything.
You
They
can't
haven't
just
flown
take this
anything.
thing
It just
down the
reminded me
local
of
park and just go. Yeah, I'm going to start it up and buzz.
Well,
I know what you're talking about though, Joe. They race them, and they've like literally got
I
a petrol
thought,
engine.
what's going on out there?
Yeah.
It's mad. And I looked it out, and it was just like a little car going around the.
Yeah.
I don't think that the government has the same regulations on miniature catalytic converters and reducing the decibel levels.
Yeah,
No, I'm definitely going to be doing it though. I've been watching quite a few videos and stuff. I'm really.
How big are they then that you
They're
fly?
all different scales. You can get them.
Some of them are like really
some of them are like as big as like a Cessna, as in like actual like a real plane. Like they literally like you get people who make like I've seen videos of like a 747 like commercial airliner, and it's like it's the size of a small plane. Like it's
he's launching a UAV out his bedroom window.
Yeah. It's not Call of Duty.
Would you put a drone into it then?
Why would you do that?
No, we're not drone into
Then you
it.
could you could like have a drone that was one.
I suppose so. Yeah.
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 So that it looked cool. So that it looked like you could like you were flying it around.
One of the videos I've seen, a guy.
Why do you look so confused that someone would want their drone to look cool?
Because it's like
I've seen like Batman looking drones and stuff like that before. Like it's not that mental.
Yeah. I saw a video. I watched a video the other day of a guy who's done a Spitfire, and it's got a real piston engine in it, and they've made in miniature a Merlin, a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, the engine that goes in Spitfire. They made a miniature one of it, and it's inside the Spitfire. It's the most amazing thing ever.
Cool.
It's incredible. Like most of them have like two-stroke tiny little motors in there, like engines in them. But this guy made one that's got like a completely real like piston. Literally, it's looked like someone's shrunk a Spitfire, like a real life Spitfire into a thingy. But yeah, so I've been watching loads of videos, like just consuming content on that.
I do like the RC stuff. I saw a video where someone took like an RC car, put a little tiny camera in the head of a little guy in there, and then they wear a VR headset.
They're not like the same as what I'm just saying. He's looking at me like I'm talking a different language. And now he's like, oh yeah, I've seen this. That's exactly the same, by the way. Matt, he was looking at me like I was talking absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah.
That was it. But like the head turns and stuff, like with the remote.
Yeah.
At that point, you might as well just drive a real car, to be fair. But
yeah. Well, this one, it might as well be a real Spitfire because it's literally everything other than...
Yeah, at a certain point, like, you know, if you're going to do it.
I was like, this thing's amazing. So that's, I think I've already planned my Twilight.
We're like planning our retirement on the podcast.
I know.
We've got years to go. We're ready for it.
Oh, speak for yourself. But like...
He is nearly 30.
Yeah, I know. He's nearly 30 now, isn't he? So
don't start with that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm going to be doing anything that I'm not doing now. Do you know what I mean? Like, usually like, oh yeah, I'll get into that when I'm 65 or 70 or whatever.
See, I do that.
Like, I just feel like I'll just be doing what I like. Do it like
I'm ready to reverse age. I do old man stuff now.
Yeah.
So what are you going to be doing, like parkour when you're like 70?
Yeah, why not?
Benjamin Button.
If you're listening to this podcast, then there's no doubt that you're looking to improve your miniature painting skills. And what better place to start than to learn techniques directly from industry professionals with the Siege Studios Patreon. As a member, you'll gain access to our entire catalogue of masterclass video tutorials with exclusive content going far more in depth into painting techniques than you'll find on YouTube, hundreds of easy to follow step-by-step PDF tutorials, and the ability to get dedicated video feedback on your miniatures so you'll always know what skills you need to improve next. Plus, tons of other additional benefits, all bundled for the same cost as just a few pots of paint. So what are you waiting for? Take the next step in miniature painting and improve your skills by heading to patreon.com/Siege Studios. So the topic for this episode, as I alluded to at the start of the show, is improving your Warhammer models without specifically paint-related things, or the things that we typically talk about. And my idea with this was more than to do with like paint finish. So varnishes, establishing contrast with like different types of finishes, decals, weathering, pigment powders, all that stuff. So like final touches that you can add onto your models post-painting make a big impact on how your models actually look. And I think are sometimes overlooked as well. James, you're a big fan of...
Varnish.
Loves Varnish.
Absolutely loves it.
Somewhat
of a connoisseur. No, I'm only kidding.
Sort of, the problem with people that love Varnish, they just make it the whole personality, don't they?
Definitely.
The reason I say that, though, is something that we bring up a lot on like Critique Clinic, for example.
It is, yeah.
And it's something that we discuss like quite a lot, is like that kind of like final step.
I think it has a whole multitude of different implications on a miniature, and not just per se for the end of the process. I think during as well, we talk about it, obviously using it for various stages to protect the work that you've done. I always use a kind of like an analogy that it's a bit like a save point in a classic video game. Like, it's not like the video games of now where they auto save and you can not worry about your progress. Or that kind of stuff.
Technology kind of caught up to you on that analogy, didn't it?
I know it did, unfortunately. But like video games of the past, you would have to manually save your progress, and I think that's very it has a commonality to miniature painting. So as you get through the process of doing it, if you're going to be handling or manipulating the model, or if you're doing things like, for example, we spoke about decals, you can tell you've been doing not remote control cars, you've been doing model cars.
His little remote control, his little scale
his little brum brum. But
is that what they're called?
What, brum brum?
Scale electrics. No, you're right.
Yeah. That's the one that goes around the track, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
I used to have a little like Simpsons one of them.
What's of you in Simpsons?
I love Simpsons.
You totally derailed
Sorry. I'm not going to add much to this conversation, just to let everyone know.
Just going to heckle us with the Simpsons.
And Scale Electrics.
It's funny you should mention Varnish, because in episode 13 of season 3, Bart actually I just got a Simpsons fact for everything you say.
I've always seen it used for a whole multitude of different things, and I've probably, all cards on the table, I probably only really started using Varnish when I started using the airbrush. I never really used to use it before, being honest. And it was only through using the airbrush that I started using it for various different things. Not mainly just finished property or the surface finish or what I want it to look like. Or like I said, as I'm working and using paints, obviously using varnish stages for protective layers to protect the work that I'd done previously. That's really all I've ever used it for. However, varnish has suddenly had some uses in painting, which I will talk about as well, specifically with the airbrush. But yeah, I think in general, my approach for it has always been, since I started using an airbrush, I've varnished stuff, and I've used it for protecting, and I've used it for finishing the model off at the end of the process.
Just when the transition from like going to not varnishing anything to then varnishing stuff.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Because I remember specifically the first time I ever varnished one of my models, and I remember thinking like, "Oh my god, I've cracked it! It looks like a real model now." Do you know what I mean? Like, oh my god, it all comes together. Did you have that moment? Like, can you remember what that was? Or because yours would have been even better if you did it for an airbrush, because mine was from a spray can, which wasn't great.
So I'd never used a funny thing. I used varnish through an airbrush before I used a rattle can varnish, because I thought, oh, okay, yeah, I've had some really good results with airbrushing using varnish. I used a rattle can and I had the worst result in the world.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, mine was. I'm not joking. I think mine was actually the brand that you got from Status Homeware or whatever it was. Is it that Auto Extreme or something like that? It's called,
Auto Extreme is the brand.
Yeah,
isn't it Auto Extreme Pro or something?
Something like that. I think.
By the way,
any listeners who are UK based and were painting on the cheap about 10 years ago, can either confirm or deny this, but I think that is the brand that they used to sell in the factory shop. And I remember I used to get my spray cans from the factory shop when I started playing Warhammer again. And I'm pretty sure the first spray varnish I got was Auto Extreme, potentially. So, and didn't have a great time with it.
Well, I've never had a good time with aerosol varnishes.
Yeah.
That's why I avoid. So I never varnish my models really, mainly because I didn't really game with my models, and I just assumed the only reason you need to varnish your models is if you're going to game with them, so you don't rub the paint off. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to like sit on my shelf, so I don't care about that. And I didn't have an airbrush, and I'd only ever heard bad things about the rattle can varnish, so I'd always just stayed away from it. And for me, I had the exact moment that you was talking about, and I remember very distinctly the first time I varnished a model was when I first started working for Siege Studios on the painting team. And it was like a requirement that we varnish all of our miniatures so that they're protected and so that they have that nice finish quality that you're talking about, which I hadn't really experienced until that point. So I was like, okay, well, I had an airbrush at this point, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll have to varnish them. My first project was some Black Templars. And if you've never...
I remember it. I think it was Blade Guard.
Yeah. And if you've never put varnish over black models before, the transformation is wild, because the depth that it adds, and because you've got so many different like styles of paint on there, like the metallic and then the sort of chalkier, darker looking color, like it's this glue that just brings everything together with this uniform finish.
The magic sauce.
It is literally the magic sauce, and especially for black and darker colors, like the depth it adds to all of your shadows is absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah, it is great. Like, it does a lot of positive things for a miniature, and that's before we talk about finished property, whether it's satin, matte, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, so I was going to touch on that actually. So we are often, whenever we're talking about varnish, we kind of talk about the sort of middle ground between matte and satin. That I know you
it's
and
a
Adam,
happy place.
You and Adam,
it's a special place.
Call matting.
Yeah.
I think actually, like, it's probably, it's so weird because every brand is so different.
100%. Yeah.
And it almost becomes like the words matte, satin, and gloss kind of just are almost like not interchangeable between the different brands. Like, what means satin to Vallejo doesn't seem to mean satin for like other brands. Like it all, and so on and so on. Like everyone's version of that is different. It's not a universal thing.
I agree, yeah, because my bad experience with a can, just to go back to that very briefly. So I'd seen Purity Seal as a can used. I'd never used it.
Is Purity Seal the old?
It's the old one. Minotaur and Varnish is the current one.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Purity Seal was the
Purity Seal, way better name.
That is a better name.
Yeah.
It's an excellent name.
Yeah. It's great.
It's a pun.
That is a pun.
It's good use of a
Yeah.
Good use, I like it.
I always liked the finish of it when it worked.
What was it intended to be?
It's a varnish. So it's a
I know. What was what was the
Satin?
finish?
Matt?
It's like silk. If you know what silk, like a silk paint. So it's not.
So like somewhere in between.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
somewhere
what
in
we're talking
between.
about,
So it's not full on satin and it's not matte. It's got a little bit of like in the light. The light will have a bit of a sheen on it, but not like shiny like a satin or even like a gloss.
And
So
that kind of remains your.
It's like my
preferred
favorite. Yeah,
finish.
I really love it because the thing is like metallics still look like metallics, but if you've got like parchment or cloth or that kind of stuff, it doesn't make them look like PVC. Does that make sense? So it's like a perfect happy middle place for everything. I think it gives an overall good finish to everything.
Yeah. Because to tread that line, it's like, for those of you who aren't too familiar listening with like, I guess the pros and cons of all of them. Really glossy tends to look like a toy.
Yep.
And you get so many artificial highlights from the lighting in the room hitting the model.
Yep.
That it kind of negates all of the highlights that you've painted on.
Yeah, it's like shiny and looks a bit wet as well.
Yeah,
exactly. And then to matte, the other way, like an ultra matte from AK, for example, is so unbelievably flat. It desaturates everything and everything looks like chalk.
It sucks the soul out of colour.
Do you know what's a bit wild though? It's not so much now, but there was a bit of a not necessarily. There's never really necessarily like a meta with painting, but like that AK Ultramat a couple of years ago, maybe
it was all the rage.
Just sort of like end of the 2010s into the 2020s. I feel like it was like the thing.
Yeah.
It was like the popular thing that everyone, once you found out about it, it was like, oh my god, yeah.
I fell for it because I think
fell for it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a scam. It's
Well,
just
Not a scam.
it's not a scam, but like I fell for the trap of it because like you put it on and it makes all of your blends look really smooth.
yeah.
And then I think you get like really blinded by that and you don't realize the negatives that it has elsewhere. And I think that kind of the next thing to get onto is like contrast of finish is so important as much as contrast of color. So having multiple different finish properties on a model is a great way to have different elements of contrast without having to worry about color and
Well,
saturation.
it sells the believability, if that's a word, of materials.
Exactly.
So like,
But then by that, if you've got everything super, super flat because it makes your blends look better, it also makes everything look like
The
flat
same.
rubber that's
I
just
just,
lifeless.
I mean, there's some people who've used it and it does, the stuff they've done looks great. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not going to here to
I think it's for a specific, it's for, it benefits a specific style.
Yeah, definitely.
more,
I think
probably.
when you fire a metric ton of that at a model, though, it does get you do get like a rougher, more grainier finish in general. I often
It's chalky, like you say.
The worst thing is when someone's thinned the paint too much when they've airbrushed and they've over thinned it, and then they've airbrushed really, really super thin layers and built them up. So it already looks really chalky because the thinner has thinned paint so much and separated all the bonds in the paint massively. And you can always tell when a model's been airbrushed with too thin a paint. And then on top of that, you have ultra matte varnish put on top of that, and it makes it even flatter and more chalky, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
As I said, like the worst experience I had with a rattle can varnish was I used Tester's dull coat because there was a period of time where that was the rage. And
That's another one, that people
so like
about
I never got the opportunity to use because I never varnished models. So but I'd seen people use Purity Seal, and I always liked the look of it. And then I was like, I kind of missed that boat. And then I had an airbrush and would airbrush varnish and stuff. But someone says, "Man, you've got to try Tester's out." So I bought a can of it stupidly. Yeah. Had a go on a miniature, shook it, done all the normal stuff. It wasn't like a cold, wet day or too hot or any of that kind of stuff. It was just a normal day. Shook the living crap out of this can. And my model just literally just turned into a grey piece of mess. Like, I was just like, so.
People swear by that stuff even now.
And like I tried the Winsor Newton one as well. And the Winsor Newton, obviously, really, really well-established brand. Shook the hell out of that. And I got like I've seen it on multiple times on different cans as well. You get like a very much of like a marbleized kind of like finish property, just because like the medium or the varnish and the propellant and all this kind of stuff is not mixed properly, and they don't really settle very well on the model. Like, just had some bad experiences with spray cans, which again could potentially be user error, but the amount of times I've tried it and had bad results, I've got, like, just by sheer luck, I would have hoped that I'd at least got one done right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like,
to flip it though, like I've had amazing results on not Warhammer specific stuff, but like scale models, for example, like the cars I was talking about earlier. On the WRX that I did, I got an excellent finish with the Mr. Hobby clear gloss spray.
good old Mr. Hobby.
Absolutely phenomenal finish. But it's a
That
different.
was a rattle can.
It was a rattle can, yeah, but that's a completely different setup where you've got like, I'm going for a gloss finish, which is already different, and it's a large flat area. It's not this like tiny miniature with all these little bumps and grooves and details on it. So I don't know how it would perform in that environment. I'm not even certain if they do a matte one or a matte in, if we want to call it that. What if I told you can easily take the basing on your miniatures to the next level? Well, now you can with the new basing range from Siege Scenics. Siege Scenics is dedicated to helping you create immersive and realistic environments for your miniatures that feel both alive and dynamic, whether you're setting the stage for your tabletop battle or telling a rich, unfolding story on a competition display. From the lush hues of summer grass to cold alien landscapes, Siege Scenics has you covered with expertly crafted and innovative products that capture the ever-changing beauty of nature and let you bring it straight to your miniatures. To see the full range and upgrade your bases, head to siegescenics.co.uk or check with your local retailer.
Moving on from that, I suppose, then like the predominant thing that I think most people will use it for now is for protecting the miniatures, which I think is quite an integral part. You put all these hours of work into your miniature. You want to obviously make sure that whether it's a tabletop model, whether it's something that you've got for competition or whatever, like that the person manipulating and holding it isn't going to knock paint off or whatever the case may be.
Or even it just going in a case, like foam cases are
they're
quite
horrendous.
abrasive.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of those anyway. But
or even like if you're going to pack it, like, you know, if as commission artists, for example,
Yeah.
all of our models get packed up and protected very nicely.
Yeah.
But it's still like packing material that's touching and there is friction there.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't take a lot to rub some paint off if it wasn't protected.
Yeah. You got it. Listen, I think it's an integral part of the process, and like whether you do decide to use the rattle cans and you have success with that, or whether you do it with a airbrush, I would recommend it. But for more the painting process, using it as a protective layer, which also helps to do certain things. So whether you're a big fan of maybe using washes or you pin shade or you use oils or whatever, like having that surface that allows the paint to run better is only a silver lining to the fact you're protecting the model. And especially when we talk about things like transfers, which will be another thing we probably go into a bit more detail on, but like using stuff like microcell, microset, which are chemicals which make the transfer process a lot easier and factually look more part of the miniature rather than just stuck on. You don't want to put that stuff on just neat paint because it will heavily affect the paint and cause issues. And
I can't say I've had about problems with it, being honest. Yeah. So you're an advocate of gloss varnishing before transfers and shading and stuff like that. Yeah. I personally just do varnishing at the end usually. Do you put any varnish on before you use microset? Really? No. See, I've seen paint lift off models. I've seen paint. I'm not saying that's not possible. Yeah. That might also be due to the fact of I've applied like thousands of transfers before. Yeah. And I'm quite familiar with the tools. So maybe I'm gentler than others. I don't know. But personally, I've never had a particular problem with it. Yeah. Touch wood. I'm sure I'll. Yeah. I'd always recommend to gloss varnish the model or put a protective layer on. The reason I've shied away from that is, well, one, I haven't really had too many issues with just applying it to the paint anyway. But also, I don't love the idea of like adding extra layers of material onto the model that don't necessarily need to be there. What I mean by that is, I know you gloss varnish your miniatures midway through the process of painting them, but I know for a fact that you don't want that gloss result at an end. Therefore, you're going to be matte varnishing it later on in the process. Therefore, you've got 2 layers of varnish on a model. Yeah, one of which is not like the desired effects. So I don't know how I feel about that. Doesn't affect the finished result. Sure. I think it's because I have had bad experiences with microcell in the past, and factually the paint runs better on a glossy. That's true. You know, that is true. Yeah. So that's well, they don't because you've got less surface tension with a glossy surface. The transfer is easy to slide around and get in the right place. Yeah. Yeah. There, which is and also allows you like. Because I've seen people before when they've, again,
fair play, you've not had the issue with it, which is totally cool. Like, I've seen people who have not varnished, put the set down first, as in the blue one, put the transfer on, they put the red one on, and then the red one has reactivated the transfer and it's lifted and moved, and they've gone to lift up the transfer to move it, and the paint's lifted,
right,
where they're stabbing it with the end of the brush or whatever. So I've seen that happen before. That, again, sorry to go into the semantics of it, that could have been because the model was undercoated with surface primer, so it didn't have a very thin layer of paint on it potentially. So it could be that. So yeah, like there's all manner of different eventualities, but in general, whenever I've done a gloss stage midway through the process, when everything's blocked in, or whether it's just the armor color or whatever, I've found it really better for my overall process. The thing I would say about a gloss is, if you do, let's just say you're doing ultramarines and you paint an ultramarine, paint solidly blue, the model, you gloss varnish it and you start your base coating. Let's say you slip, you sneeze, hatchoo, and then like I paint some black on the different part of the model. All right, okay. All right, okay. I can use a damp brush on the surface to gently wipe away the mistake, because it will come off the gloss rather than stick into the paint, if that makes sense. And you almost can not reactivate.
Well, it's like the save point you was talking about earlier on.
It is 100%. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of USPs to doing it. Totally get about what you're saying about multiple layers. If you're airbrushing the varnish on, I don't think that's so much a problem, because the layer is very thin anyway, especially if you hair dry it and get it pulled tight with heat on the surface, and it protects and it pulls it tight, which I probably would always recommend. If I was using spray cans, I wouldn't be doing that, just because it's too thick. Like the projection from an aerosol.
Spray varnish, as you mean.
Spray varnish, yeah. It's just too thick. Like I've tried a load, just because I've always wanted to find out if there was a good. Obviously, an aerosol it's really quick to use. Like there's not really much setup time like an airbrush, and like getting your thinning down your thinner and cleaner and all that stuff, etc. And your varnish. However, even within rattle can varnishes, if you haven't got an airbrush and that's the way that you want to go, there's a whole myriad of different quality varnishes which you've got to be aware of.
Yeah,
Sure. So yeah, it's just something to be conscious of. But I've always used it in the painting process.
Did you not try Auto Extreme varnish? I know you're a fan of the primer these days.
Did not. No, yeah, I'm a big fan of primer these days. £2.
He struggles to say it himself.
£2.
It was awful.
£2. It was not. It was fine. I didn't shake it enough. I didn't give it enough time.
Oh. So let's get away from varnish then.
Yeah.
I've got a few things that I wanted to get through still. One of them being, I guess, somewhat related to, and what we've kind of already spoken about, but it's just like the contrast in finish. So I personally am a fan of multiple different types of varnish on multiple different areas of a miniature. Mm-hmm. Usually, I'll be satin or closer to matte varnishing the whole model.
Yeah.
And what I like to do, and I've started doing of recent, is going back in with a paintbrush and just some like brush applied varnish, going over certain details, particularly like gloss varnish for like eye lenses, or like scopes on weapons, or like gemstones and things like that, little trinkets and stuff that I want to like, not only want them to stand out because of the way they're painted, but like adding that contrast to finish.
Joie de zhuzh.
Yeah. But I think it adds like a lot of value to, and it helps sell that it is what it is even further, if you get what I mean, particularly when it's used like sparingly. Like with the gemstones, for example, or like the lenses, like it just makes it look like glass, or like a shiny material.
Perspex, yeah. I agree. I think that's also like a stylistic finish as well. Like, for example, so I know there are certain people that like gems gloss varnished and lenses. There are some people that don't, because they like to
paint it on
with the blends, and actually with the blends and stuff. And maybe
you can do both.
I think you can.
Both.
I think you can. Yeah, I 100% think you can do both. Like I think
they're small enough that you can like with the gemstone, I'll paint all the like the bloom highlight and the specular dot and everything, and then gloss varnish it. And I think because it's like physically small enough, you don't get a lot of artificial reflections anyway.
I agree.
It just adds a lot of depth and smoothness that I think you don't otherwise get.
Ultimately, is it making the object behave visually how the real object behaves? And if the answer is yes, then I think it adds value.
Yeah.
That's my thought process on it.
Yeah. And then going the other way, I know I sort of slated the Ultramat a little bit earlier, but I think that can be used very, very tactically as well, especially when applied to a brush.
Well, just to chuck that in on that, the AK Ultramat, I think when you're doing like historical models, like tanks, like World War II tanks and things and pieces like that, like it's amazing. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
If you look at a lot of like historical or scale models, or even like, I think it suits when you see like Napoleonic cavalry or things like that, or if you've got like a captain on a horse or whatever. I think like overall, that it's an amazing finish on that. It makes stuff look really good, but I don't know. I think it's for sci-fi. I don't think it works personally.
I think, no, well, tactically, right? So, for example, if you've got a lot of like ground material and cover and stuff, and you're trying to make it look like dusty, like on a base, adding like a layer of Ultramat, especially with the brush, because the Ultramat behaves quite differently when you apply it with the brush, in that it takes multiple layers to get as matte of a finish as you would with like a coat with the airbrush. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of almost like creep up on it incrementally. So you can go for like, you know, a layer of Ultramat isn't necessarily the same ultra matteness as like 3 or 4 passes. But also like, you know, little armor joints, or maybe you're trying to hide something where like the quality of the sculpt isn't quite so good on like the underside of a model. You're trying to like black it out, and then you put in some Ultramat to try and help hide it. I also find that it can be a cool medium to mix in on like cloaks and things. Say you're doing a lot of like brush glazing on like a big Space Marine cloak or something like that. Because you're thinning down the paint so much, maybe you're adding some like glaze medium or something, you can get quite a shiny finish. Mixing in a little bit of that and just doing like a very, very thinned down layer all over with a brush can help bring it back down to satin, like from a gloss, if you get what I mean, rather than making it like all the way up to Ultramat. Yeah. So I think you can go like both ways. But
definitely.
I think having contrasting finishes like on a model is really, really cool.
Well, it's like imagine you'd done a bust and it was like an armored model. You could theoretically shoot Ultramat varnish from the underside so that all the shadows are matte, which is how shadows are. And then if you shot like a satin from above, visually you'd have like this really cool kind of like finished property transition on the model from like matte in the shadows to satin or sort of shiny on the armor. That looked quite cool.
I feel like with stuff like busts, and potentially why this isn't, I don't know, why you're thinking it might not work as well for Warhammer and stuff like that. But when you're doing, I don't know, like more, I don't want to say more artistic, but you get what I'm on about with like larger scale stuff or things like that, where there might be a bit more of an atmosphere needed. I feel like everything being the same finish kind of helps that. Whereas with the Warhammer models, you're kind of trying to imagine them in this immersive environment and everything's sort of reacting to that, and then it would all be different and it were more realistic. But like I feel like those kind of pieces where they want it to look a bit more like almost like fine art or something.
Yeah.
Having one all-in finish kind of
that's interesting.
Fits that a bit better. Like helps with like like the atmosphere of the model, I guess.
That is really interesting that you say that, because I think that nods back to the historical modeling and scale modeling.
Yeah.
If you look at 40K stuff that's finished with Ultramat and it's painted maybe in a non-edge highlighted style, it looks more like scale model than it does Warhammer. I don't know if that comes across the right way.
Yeah, I think like maybe to people like us who, when they think of Warhammer, they think of the heavy metal style.
Yeah.
Probably. So that's probably why.
Yeah. But it's just something to be aware of. But yeah, as in like for varnishes and stuff, like for finishing, I think think about what you're trying to represent with the actual thing that you're painting, and maybe use retrospective varnishes which are going to either magnify that feel or vibe of the miniature, or for example the finished property, like if you're trying to emulate glass, you might use, or perspex, you might use a bit of gloss on a lens, or you might use matte on the underside of a cloak to make that look more shadowed. You know what I mean? So that kind of works.
As miniature painters, we all know how important it is to have good quality tools, brushes and paints. But if you want to improve your miniatures, none of those items matter if you can't properly see what it is you're painting in the first place. That's why one of the most important upgrades I've ever made to my miniature painting setup was my Onyx painting lamp from Native Lighting. Its incredibly bright 2200 lumen, dimmable LEDs cast soft and diffused light on my workspace. Plus, its highly adjustable articulating arm allows me to finally sit in the perfect painting position for hours on end without any aches or strain. And its daylight colour balance temperature of 6500K gives you the confidence that the colours you're painting on your miniatures are true to life and your miniatures will pop on the tabletop. To upgrade your setup to the professional grade equipment that we rely on here at the studio, head to siegestudios.co.uk/shop or check the link in this episode's description. And then I think also kind of how you was talking about using gloss varnish as like a tactical aid. I think you can do the same thing with ultramatte finish as well. So if you've got an area that you're working quite intricately on and you're struggling to see detail, particularly like metallics, where it can be quite hard to see where you're highlighting because they're already quite shiny, spraying ultramatte varnish all over it so that you can see where you have painted, and it kind of like highlights everything and all of your mistakes so that you can then smooth them out. And then later on in the process, you're going to be satin or matte varnishing the whole model and kind of bringing everything back down to level. But you can use it like kind of along the way to help you visualize mistakes or areas that you need to push further, or even see if you're happy with certain areas. I find it really valuable for that, particularly again, like what I spoke about with like when you're doing a lot of blending on cloth, particularly large areas, vehicles even, when you've got a lot of varying like finish because of the paints you've been using. Maybe you're using some paints that have more of a matte finish, some paints that have more of a satin finish, and so on. Just getting everything like nullified, so you can like objectively see what is where, allows you to then like adjust those as needed. And then later on, you can like fix the finish and make it a satin.
One thing I will chuck in as a little sort of like, I know you got a hack on the way of potentially, George, but something I'll just drop in is like, if you've ever thinned paint a little bit too thin, and I'm not talking like it's watery or it's like transparent, I'm talking like maybe it's just a tiny bit too thin. Maybe you don't want to dump a load of paint in there just to rebalance it and get it more opaque. You can put in a little bit of varnish, like satin, into the paint in your airbrush. So you've obviously got thinner and you've got paint in your airbrush. You can just put in a little bit of satin varnish and mix that in, and it will just almost add a bit of elasticity between all the bits of resin pigment in the dilution that you've done with the thinner.
It's like a paint thickener.
Ever so slightly, it will just add a little bit of cohesion to the paint that's been thinned down.
Does that help stop it from separating as well?
It does, yeah. It helps it stop separating, and also as well, it goes on. When it goes on, it will essentially be a stronger paint because it's got varnish mixed into it. If that makes sense, it'll just have a bit more of just be a bit easier to handle potentially.
That's quite cool,
so yeah, just mixing a little bit of varnish into your mix when you do it. Obviously, it'll be more satin or gloss or matte, whatever. I don't think it works too much with matte. I think it's either satin or gloss. I personally never do it with gloss. I always just tiny bit of satin mixed into a slightly too thin paint in the airbrush, and I found that I haven't needed to then go and get paint, rechange the mix, get it right, all that kind of stuff. Even when I made big batches, I'm a big fan of a ketchup bottle. When I make a big batch of it,
I'm a big fan of a ketchup bottle. That's a perfectly normal thing to say on this podcast.
Just the bottle.
I hate the ketchup. It's a hot take. Hate ketchup and brown sauce. I'm not that kind of guy. But I'm going to get
ketchup and brown sauce. Brown sauce taking strays.
He's taking strays. Well, the brown sauce is filth.
Yeah, I don't like.
I feel like you'd be like a sauce connoisseur. You've got that kind of aura.
I like a sauce.
Yeah.
What's your go-to sauce, Joe?
Well, it depends. Look, we'll save it for the post show.
Put him on the spot. You need to
save it for the post show. Give us some time to think.
You vibe like guy who makes his own sauces and like has his own like.
I don't. I would like to.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Saucy Joe.
Make my own like hot sauces or something.
Yeah. If I went to your house and I opened the fridge, I'd be expecting like 40 or 50 different like hot sauces that you had made from scratch.
Yeah.
In those like glass bottles of like the little like lever that opens up.
Yeah, maybe that's my retirement thing.
There you go, sorted it for him. But no, big fan of a condiment bottle and an
empty one.
An empty one, yeah,
for storing painting.
Yeah, that will still be found in my fridge. Yeah, but yeah. But no, I like to make a big batch of paint. So when I do, if I've just ever so slightly, it's a little bit too thin, I won't put some more paint into it. I'll literally just put a tiny bit of satin varnish, stick that on the vortex for a minute or two, and it normally balances the paint out, so it's better to use for the airbrush. I think it just adds like you said, like a thickener. It just gives it a little bit whatever that
body.
Joie de
zhuzh, yeah.
Used it wrong, really. But
no, that's funny.
It's a made-up term, and he's used it wrong.
Yeah, it's a new podcast term. So yeah, joie de zhuzh. We'll use that.
Well, I stole it from a TV show.
That's right. We'll steal it from you then and use it on here.
That's all good.
Yeah, but yeah, it just helps the paint a little bit, which I found, which is quite good. So yeah.
My final one is I guess a bit of an umbrella term, but like weathering, in the sense of like pigment powders and like additives you know what I mean? Like not like, oh, I painted on some like little chipping and stuff, but like adding some environmental effects. There's loads of like, like the Vallejo, like the AK, like diorama effects and all that sort of stuff. Things that aren't like strictly paint or aren't strictly basing either, but like adding environmental effects. So like snow around boots, pigment powders for like dust, especially when they're on like, sandy environments and stuff like that. I think stuff like that is such an easy way to add like realism post paint, and again, massive amounts of contrast. If you've got like nice satin finish, perhaps like quite a dark armor, maybe you've even done the extra bits like of gloss, like it's picked out for like the lenses and stuff. And then on top of that, if they're walking through like a sandy beach or like a desert or something, and then some of that is like kicked up around their feet, you could use some of like the AK Ultra Matte to like kind of dull it down, make it look a bit dustier. You could paint some dust on, or you could use like the weathering powders. Yeah, stuff like that's amazing. Like the water effects and stuff around the base. I know it's more of like a basing thing. Yeah, but particularly like snow and things like that. Or even if this is something I haven't seen, which I'm surprised I haven't seen, and I'm not saying no one's done it, but like Space Wolves, people always put like snow and stuff on their boots, like snowy base. I think to like cool like movie and TV references and stuff like Game of Thrones or something, like they've always got these fur pelts around the neck, and I think like why have they never caught like snow?
Should have snow on it. Yeah. We
or like on a coat,
We might have even done. I vaguely remember we've done potentially some Space Wolves that had like.
I'm sure we have
snow on the shoulders and like at the top. Ages ago. I think the thing with that is that whole thing is like it's such a stylistic choice, isn't it? More than more than any of the other things.
All of this is stylistic choice. Everything we've said for this episode.
It sort of isn't as like this is different to the previous stuff because the previous stuff was been like. With Varnish, you can have any finish you want. So all of it, like you can choose what style within that. Whereas like this is like
do it or don't do it.
It's a look, and you either like it or you don't.
So I've
never been like a huge fan of adding all like the dirt up the legs and stuff like that, and on the boots and things like that. And I understand that it looks more realistic, but I think to me it only works on certain styles of painting. So like sometimes. I think we're in an interesting point with like box art stuff, for example, at the minute, because they keep pushing it. They keep like doing more to it. Like obviously, if you look at the box art style and the heavy metal examples now compared to 1994 or whatever, they look very different. And it's like they're consistently kind of trying to almost bridge the gap between that more realistic look and still the heavy metal look and stuff like that. And I think there's a sweet spot in there for everyone.
Yeah,
like
totally.
So it's like a spectrum, and like somewhere along that line is going to be like the thing that you love, sort of thing. But I think for me, when you start going into all the weathering up the legs and the weathering powders and like too many like extra things, sort of takes away from it for me a little bit.
Well, I'm going to chuck into this because I've been dropping little things here and there, hopefully in this episode, and I'm not trying to steal your fire on the hobby hack. It better be a good one. You said it was a good one.
George did say he has the best hobby hack. Did you say the best one we've ever done?
Yeah, I think you said it's
so what you said earlier.
Yeah, I think you said.
I think that's what you said.
I kind of heard that. But what you can do is you can get snow basing material, put a load of gloss varnish in with it. So mix gloss varnish in with your snow or your ice or whatever, etc. And you can make this paste, and you literally just put it wherever you want, and the gloss will set rock hard, but it will still retain its shininess, if that makes sense. So you'll have it will look like wet snow or ice or whatever, and it will have that shine that it does just by mixing gloss into it. So you can use it as an additive to your snow basing material.
No, that's a good tip. I think that works. Like what you're saying, I think these are all just like options. I'm just trying to,
I thought it was, it's interesting that last one, Umbrella, is like particularly more, you'll either like it or you don't than the others, if that makes sense. The others, I think anyone can benefit from the others. Yeah.
I think it's good to know your options though, because I think there'll always be like that one miniature waiting for any one technique that you learn. Like there's loads of like very specialist sort of things that you have in the back of your mind, kind of like waiting for their day. Do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily like an everyday technique, but when the time calls, it's there in the bank, you know? Because I don't use like every single painting technique or effect that I know on every single model that I paint.
No, but
Yeah.
true. But I think in direct reflection of that, like you shouldn't just wait for the miniature. So like most people will do Space Wolf Army and they'll go, oh, I'll put it on a snow base. I think you should do stuff like just go a bit like imagine Catachans on the snow base, not dressed appropriate for the season, definitely, but like you can go crazy with like.
I don't think I've ever seen snow camo Catachans.
Snow camo.
Yeah.
Snow camo, snow
Okay,
basing.
because I was imagining the jungle camo when James said it, and I thought that was a bit weird.
No,
but
they've got snow camo
that makes
on,
sense.
mate.
yeah, blue, white, like grey camo.
Yeah.
They're not really weather appropriate, though, are they?
They're hard as nails. They don't care
Yeah,
about,
they don't care about that.
care about
That's
snow.
It's got
Even
like ripped
more-
off sleeves.
That's
Yeah.
even more fitting for
sleeves.
Catachans that they wouldn't care about that.
Sleeves are for crybabies. They don't care. Literally, they're
Yeah.
like they don't care. But no, what I'm saying is that I think you should have fun with doing different environments and different.
Sleeves are for crybabies.
You know, there's always that guy when you go out and it's like freezing and snowing. He's like, oh, I'm so hot. Like, aren't you hot? And I'm like, no, it's like -6.
I am hot all the time. Though. I am like that.
You're that
is-
guy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am that guy sort of thing. Yeah.
That's how the Catachans are.
I have this weird like I'm in this horrible catch-22 where I would like to wear a hoodie 24/7, but I am always hot.
We were talking about this earlier.
So,
Earlier when we first came in, I
it's
said
not
like,
a good mix.
right now, like this time of year, and is like my favourite time of the year. It's not too hot, and it's not too cold.
Not too hot. It's melting in here.
I'm fine.
What you were saying earlier was that spring was your favourite time of year.
Spring and autumn are like my favourite times of year. Definitely.
Autumn's way better than spring.
Uh,
I prefer autumn, yeah.
Colourful,
because I'm miserable.
Halloween.
autumn's,
What do you want?
Autumn's
You
great.
can put all your emo playlists on because it's about to get worse
Yeah.
and it's appropriate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
autumn's great. Don't get me wrong, but I like it when you're just coming out of winter and like it's starting to get lighter. It's starting to get warmer. You can choose at midday, afternoon. You can wear just a t-shirt rather than a jumper. Or
At what
hoodie.
point-
We've got to get
Yeah.
away from this
At
because
what
people
point-
hate it when we talk about the weather.
Sorry.
Well, just go back to Catachans.
Yeah.
Sleeves are for crybabies.
Yeah.
Yeah, slaves of crybabies.
Leave it
That's
on
what
that.
I'm taking away from this episode.
Yeah.
So they probably varnish the muscles or something. Protective layer.
Maybe that'd be a good way to emulate. Like he's oiled up.
Baby
He's
oil,
put baby
yeah.
oil on.
Yeah. Gloss varnish.
Let's varnish the Catachans. Yeah. On
Okay.
that note.
Yeah, on that note, I think we've covered all of that. Let us know your thoughts in the comments as always. We're going to jump over now to Hobby Hacks, which is where we share a quick tip with you can implement into your painting if you're listening along at home while you're hobby. You've hyped this one up a bit too much. And I've now got...
Don't downplay
You said it
now.
was really good.
Yeah, don't downplay it
I
now.
I
That's
said
good.
James has got one. You were like, no, I've got one. And I was like, well,
Because I knew James
has got
didn't
one.
have one and he was just going to come up with some rubbish.
He just give you two.
I've just given you two. I put my two in the episode.
Yeah.
Right, well, I thought this was appropriate for this week. I've actually been saving this one.
I had half of one, but I didn't finish it.
What does that mean?
How can you have half a hack?
I had like an idea, like the seed of one, but then I couldn't really work out what the benefit of it was.
Go on, speak up, share it with the group.
That's not a hack.
Oh, come on, you got to say it now. I'll do mine
yours-
after.
do
No, I'll
yours
do
first,
mine
do
after. I
yours
want to hear this. Keep them waiting. Keep the view retention up.
No, all it was, I thought the other day, because I knew I was recording today, and I'm conscious that I don't do many hobby hacks. I had, oh God, it's so, no, because it's not anything. I haven't got anything.
Go on.
I had, those little like silica gel things,
Yeah.
packs, and you like,
Will it come in a package to keep it from getting like with electronics and stuff?
yeah.
Yeah.
I had one that ripped,
Right.
and all the little like balls fell out. And I was like, oh, you could use that for something like Warhammer.
What?
Well, that's as far as I got.
Could you use
They're
it?
like
Could you
tiny little balls.
Could you even use it as basing material?
No.
Potentially,
No.
you could use.
Yeah.
Well, the furthest I got was you could use it maybe when you want to do like little bubbles in water.
But, that might work. That might
But
work.
you'd need to cut them in half.
I've got
probably.
one. Fantasy model.
Little orbs.
No. Also, that's a good one though. But also, what I was thinking, if
There you go. It's fine. This is fine.
you had some sort of cannon, would they be scale appropriate cannonballs if you painted them black?
How small are the
Potentially, although I mean, silica gel, different manufacturers may vary. My one had like loads of different sizes of little balls in there. So
that's different weights of shot, if you know cannons.
yeah, there you go. So What I'll do is I'll update you next time I'm on whether I've come to a conclusion on that.
Okay.
Joe's going to...
Thank you for that.
See,
That was the one I was trying. At least I'm trying.
Top marks for effort, Joe.
You act like I don't even try with
Top
the hobby
marks for
hack.
effort.
So
No,
I saw that and I was like, as I was picking them all up off the floor, I was like, oh, I might just put them in the hobby room.
Did you keep them?
Yeah, they're in a little.
You could make at the smallest ones. You can make frog spawn out of them, or the bubbles in lava. You can sink them into your basic material.
They do look like frog spawn, but I immediately thought that's not going to be useful to anyone.
They could be doing a diorama.
You get frogs in Age of Sigmar.
A frog spawn diorama.
No, it's just a part of the base.
Yeah, in the water.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is it a pond?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
What if it was like a guy fishing?
Yeah,
on a pond.
Yeah. There you
You're
go.
trying to start thinking outside the box.
Trying to help you.
This is my hobby hack. So
yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
See, look, we got you the rest of the way there.
George, come on. What you got?
That's what the podcast is about.
I think that was a team effort, that one.
That was a team effort, that one.
No, it's mine. Yeah. You wouldn't have got there without me.
We'll let Joe have...
I don't think you would have got there without me.
Just give me time. I would have got there.
What's your hack? Come on.
Okay, so I took this one, poached this one from the scale model community.
Hang on, so it's not your hack?
None of these are our hacks.
You didn't invent it, as we know, as you've held me accountable for in the past. You must have invented the hobby hack that you share.
Well, I say that. I don't know who to credit for this one because I think it's just kind of like a unilaterally known thing that doesn't seem to have like breached the invisible line between scale modelers and Warhammer.
Okay,
nerds,
go on,
right?
shoot.
When you're cleaning up your models, got all the mold lines on them, you got to take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to tell. Like, if you ever like scraped a mold line and you thought you got it, and then you spray the model and it's still there.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like it's got a grain in the plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you do is before you start like scraping any of your mold lines, you get a Sharpie and you literally draw over all of the mold lines so wide so that you don't just get like the mold line itself, but you get like a bit either side, like a bit of bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah. You scrape all of them off, which then, as you can imagine, sort of highlights this sort of like bright line down the middle where the mold line is. And then you get your Tamiya or Display sanding sponge and you start sanding over the area. And when you've got rid of the whole like mold line fiasco when you get rid of all of the Sharpie. And it works a dream.
I rate that. Yeah.
So I started doing that with the Skyline kit that I'm doing because it's a white plastic shell.
Yeah.
And the mold lines, once you scrape them, you can't really tell if it's a mark from like the finish being different where you've scraped it, or if you actually got the mold line.
I rate that.
But you go over it with the Sharpie, you sand it all down, and then when all the Sharpie's gone, you got it. Perfectly smooth.
Yeah.
I'll put some photos on screen from my recent examples.
7 out of 10, I think. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I'll take a 7.
I mean, what was mine?
It was a team effort though, that one.
No, what was mine? It was my one. It was my...
Excuse me, I dropped in about frog spawn.
I'd argue that's the worst part of the hobby hack.
5.5.
Okay. On that note, we're going to jump over now to the post show, which is a benefit for our patrons. So if you'd like to get an additional 20 or 30 minutes of the podcast every single week, access to all of the previous post shows, access to all of our extended masterclass video tutorials, all of our PDF tutorials, hobby hangouts, other cool benefits like Critique Clinic, check the link in the description down below to our Patreon where you get access to all of that good stuff. Otherwise, massive thank you for listening and we will see you next week.
Load of rubbish. It's a nicer colour. Well, so you can't paint
I don't
crimson
care. Red's a nicer colour.
If I'd have picked red, you would have had a go at me.
I said do ultramarines.
You think Cantor Blue is too dark to paint a model?
Yes.
But then you're saying...
No,
But then you're saying...
because they're model.